So the Samsung Unpacked was something. Hey guys, welcome back to the Jagger cast, the podcast where I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. And in case you didn't notice, I'm a Samsung fanboy. Yes, so here's a fun fact. I've basically committed to Samsung for everything. I have the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and then the Galaxy Buds, the Galaxy Watch, the Galaxy Tab, I think it's the S7, two Galaxy TVs with a Galaxy soundbar in the living room one. The list goes on. Oh yes, the monitor for my computer is also Samsung Galaxy, not a Galaxy, Odyssey G7. But yeah, basically I am a Samsung fanboy. I actually remember this in college that not college, high school actually. There was somebody who was so committed to like Apple, and I was like, I'm your nemesis, I'm your rival. You like Apple so much, I like Samsung so much. But so I don't deviate too much. We just finished, well, at the time of this recording, we just saw the Galaxy Unpacked for July of 2024, and it was definitely something. It was something. A lot of stuff that I didn't expect, but I also found it to be kind of shallow. So it's kind of weird for me to talk about the Unpacked in this way, because I've always like been so supportive of Samsung, and I still love them. You know, I'm still contemplating replacing my watch because I've had the Watch 4 for some time, and I need to get a new one at this point. And I would like to get new buds, but I think that the Unpacked, it was iffy. Iffy would be the word. Let's start with this. I do like what they're doing with the Z Fold and Z Flip 6 that they announced. I do like the new design for the Fold specifically, because it's kind of cool to see the edges square out, to see the screen get bigger. But what else did they really bring with that? You know, what else did they really bring with the Fold? So checking the features on the Z Flip and the Z Fold, it's boasting like higher power, and the Z Flip, I've seen in some of the articles, it's using AI in new ways, and yeah, that's nice, but the whole thing is that it doesn't seem like as though it's doing much. You know, I do love the little increments going up with it. It's nice that it's boasting better camera, a better processor, better design. I kind of like how you're seeing like how it folds and flips better, so there's less of that crease, and for some reason I'm a fan of that. But I still look at this and it's like that's it. I mean, I would love if you guys drop it in the comments what else you've seen from the Unpacked. It's not like I'm MKBHD or Mr. Who's the Boss, who gets like packages to check them out. Samsung, if y'all could maybe give me a call. But there's nothing really to look at when it comes to either of those phones. It seems like as though the only reason you would upgrade it, it's if your Z Flip or Z Fold was not the 5 or the 4. It would seem like as though you would jump if it was like the 3, 2, or 1. So it's like you finally need a new phone, and then you would jump from the 1, 2, or 3 to go up. I wouldn't call this like a phone worth replacing if you just have like the 5 or the 4. It doesn't seem like as though it's that kind of thing. It's kind of sad, honestly. But, I mean, at the same time, who am I to complain? Increments. Increments. Now, before I move on, I think that there's one thing that I should actually be talking about way more, and I should have started with this for the podcast. But it's the idea that Samsung is really pushing heavily with the whole Samsung AI thing. You know, it's like it got introduced back in, I think, January. It got introduced a while ago. I haven't been using it all that much because there isn't much of a reason to. But they're really pushing heavily on it. And I don't know how to respond to that, because there's some features that I do like, some features that I think is like, meh. But I will say that there's some of them that are really interesting and worth checking out for, because it doesn't just stem only from the phones, especially how they kept showing it off in the flip and the fold, the 6 models, but also in like the ring and the buds and the watch as well. So a lot of the features that they did show off, yes, they showed it off for the ring and they showed it off for the watch and they showed it off for even the buds. But a lot of the features that they did show off were specifically phone based, and I mean, like, why not? You're gonna expect that. But it's kind of interesting some of the stuff that they did show. So for instance, they had somebody doodling like the Eiffel Tower on their phone, and then the phone would go on to make it look more artsy. I actually have their website right now on my, Samsung laptop. There's another thing. And it's like they even took a picture of somebody, either a picture or it could be another doodle, but most likely it's a picture. And they made it look artsy again. And there's probably more modes for this, if that's the right word, or more options to make it look in a certain different way. Like maybe there's a 3D mode or something like that too. I know that Filmora has that going on for it. They also had like this translation feature, which I think was predominantly shown on the Flip 6, where it's like one side of the screen has like your language and then the other side of the screen has the other person's language, and it basically listens to what you're saying, translates it, shows it on the other screen, they speak, translate, show on your screen. And that's pretty cool, I guess. But I mean, it's saving maybe seconds from a basic conversation. I don't know how to feel about that fully. I mean, maybe it is a cool feature and I've just never had the opportunity to experience it. I mean, this is a guy who wants to one day go to Japan, and one day I will need that feature inevitably. But it's hard to imagine a use case at the moment, at least for me. But maybe if you go internationally, you know the use cases that may come up for that. They also really pushed circle to search. So how that would work is that you would take your phone and why am I stumbling so much? Wow. And your S Pen would basically, you just circle it. I forgot if it's also like for the you could just use your finger for that to do that. But it's really interesting. So one example that they did show in the Unpacked was that somebody was wearing glasses and they wanted those same glasses, I guess. I think that was what it was. So what they did was that they circled the glasses on a picture, and then it came up with a bunch of search results, which was really interesting. I guess my whole thing with the AI and not being impressed by AI is that I'm not a big user of it. You know, it's like I'm not using it all that much for my needs. I see it and it's like, ooh, that looks nice, and then inevitably I just don't use it. So it's like, forgive me if I'm not talking highly of it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't see a need. But I'm so glad that Samsung is trying new things and they're being innovative with it, and they're experimenting, and they came up with these features and they're showing off these features. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do now want to try out the doodle feature and the translation feature. As I'm thinking about it right now, as I'm speaking it out loud, it's like, maybe I'll give it a shot, you know? Maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll try it out. In terms of the earbuds, one thing that does catch me with the AI is that I've heard that they use the AI features to like detect the sound around you, and after that, it's basically like adjusting itself, if that's the correct wording. It's adjusting itself to basically give you the best experience that you can in terms of the buds. That's I'm like, okay, let's see that in action. I think that's something that you have to experience for yourself to understand it, because I have seen their previous buds, the Buds 2 Pro, and how they explain that with I forget the name of the sounds. Ambience is one, and then noise cancelling, those two. And I'm like, I could see what you're talking about with the noise cancelling. Maybe you'll show that off a bit more later. Maybe that's making noise cancelling better. In terms of ambience, it's like, it's a bit harder to believe. So I can't wait to like experience that. It's like, yes, I have the Buds 2 Pro. I'm thinking about getting the Buds 3 Pro now. The watch also boasts some really useful features, and by extension, this goes for the Ring too, by the way, because they work hand in hand. But the watch and the Ring also boast health features where the AI assigns you, like, I think a score based on your fitness or something like that. And another feature that they were talking about with the watch was that it was sleep features as well. And this is nothing new under the sun. I've seen the sleep features. I love the sleep features. I remember one time getting a 99, which is impressive. But anyway, one feature that they were talking about was that they said something about sleep apnea and it being able to detect sleep apnea within you. In fact, if you didn't already know, sleep apnea is where your breathing kind of starts and stops in your sleep. And I don't know if it's because I suffered from sleep apnea at one point, or if it's because I suffered from sleep paralysis. This is actually where it gets a bit interesting and where I find a use case. If any of those things were to happen, it's like you could detect it now thanks to the watch fully. And you could like see what you need to do after, visit a physician. I don't know the full specs. Wow, this is speaking as a doctor's son. Wow. To get that fixed, because it is potentially deadly if you don't get that sorted out. In fact, I have my laptop right here. If you snore loudly and feel tired after a full night's sleep, you might have sleep apnea. That's from Mayo Clinic. And you know, as somebody who suffers from seizures and all that, it's like, that's serious. You will need to get stuff like that checked out, because if it's not, you could die from like basically suffocation. Now, let me be honest to God about something real quick. I didn't watch the presentation like fully. You know, I found snippets of my favorite parts. I was like, yes, I love this. Because half the time it was like they were talking so much about the AI features that I was just like, oh my gosh, man. Yeah, I've seen all this. Oh my. I think one of their presentations, their live stream might have been like 4 hours. And it's like, it's still hard to believe how much time they spent talking about this stuff. And I'm like, oh boy, this is long. This is very, very long. But the truth of the matter is, I wasn't there for the AI conversations. You know, I jumped ahead to watch the watch, the buds, the phones, even though I'm not interested in the phones, and especially like the ring. So I think that we should jump back to those conversations about that stuff. And let me start with this, with the buds. A lot of people are beginning to compare them to the Apple buds that they have. What's the name of it? The Apple AirPods. And I'm like, design-wise, maybe, but is there a reason for it? I would love to hear Samsung respond to this question. Is there a reason for the design of the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro being this way with the stem and all that? Because I've loved the design of the previous two buds. I have the original buds. I'm thinking, do I have the Buds Pro? I'm probably wrong. And then I have the Buds 2 Pro. And it's like, I love both of them so much. Is there a reason why the Buds 3 Pro would take that design of the AirPods with the stem? So I took a bit of time just now to read up on the Buds 3 and the Buds 3 Pro, and the thing that's really interesting is that, yeah, they do have that design of a Galaxy AirPods, especially so the original Buds, where it's like there's no rubber tip, it's just like that open-ended thing, and I'm like, wow. But one thing I will say is that maybe the design will help it clasp better. I remember dropping my Buds 2 Pros sometimes, and the buds would scatter, and it's up to you to find the case that fell and each of the two buds. So my question is, would the stem design cause it to not come out of the case so easily? Because if so, I actually would appreciate that just a little bit more. But I've also read up on some of the features with the tips. I actually will appreciate that if this is true, that more of the controls happen on the stems rather than the buds, because sometimes it's like you want to adjust them and you kind of struggle to put them back into your ear without doing something like that. I just turned off the features in my Buds 2 Pro like altogether. I'm like, I could just do this from my watch, or I could do it from my phone. Hopefully now with this I could do the features straight from the buds themselves. I'm not gonna lie, I've been hearing that the sound quality on the Buds 3 Pro actually sound way better than the Buds 2 Pro, especially in the treble category. And I'm like, yes, I want to try that, because the best thing about earbuds is the sound quality that you get. And I'm like, yes, I want that sound quality on my Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, and I should get that before we go on our next trip. Quick side tangent, I wonder if they got this, define my device feature on your phones. I don't remember that ever coming to the Buds 2 Pro, even though I think that they boasted about it. In fact, that got so like bad per se that I think I lost my Buds on a plane or something like that. And I'm just like, I wish that that feature was there for each individual bud and not the case. So I really hope that the Buds 3 Pro do bring that feature specifically to the individual buds. But the really cool thing is the lighting system that comes on the stems themselves. Because think about it like this. There's no indication that the buds are doing anything on the previous models. There's no lights, there's nothing. There's only one central light on the case itself, which I guess makes sense. But at the same time, I would love to see those lights on the buds themselves. And it does help you to find them by illuminating them. The sad thing about the buds too, at least getting it in black, is that they will blend into your surrounding. And again, I've had that experience on stuff like planes where it's like your buds fall out and you're trying to figure out where they went. Overall, I actually will be picking up the Buds 3 Pro. They might be the device I pick up first because, you know, music is like everything. It really does help you to relax, and I love the fact that Samsung is always improving on these things. So I think the Buds definitely is something that you will want to pick up every time there's like a new generation. But let's move on to like the watch, because here's the thing. There were accusations that Samsung was copying Apple, and while I don't disagree with that, it becomes especially apparent on the new Galaxy Watch Ultra. But I do have some opinions on this. Like, for instance, we already know that Samsung has been using the Ultra name. Like, I've seen comparison between the Galaxy Watch Ultra and now the Samsung Watch Ultra, and it's like, why did you guys go with Galaxy Watch Ultra? And I'm like, hello, have you not been paying attention to the fact that Galaxy devices have been using the Ultra name for quite some time? But that wasn't the only thing that people took note of. They also took note of like the ring design and the fact that it's kind of like squarish. And I did see complaints online about like, if you're gonna go with a square design, why still keep the circular form factor or the circular screen on it? And I'm like, I see both sides of the coin with this. You know, it's like, why do you need a watch this big and this rugged? And why are you going to make it a square watch when you could very well just use a the same regular round body? But at the same time, it's like they're advertising it for people who want like rugged watches. And so you see that, and if you look at the presentation, it's like they're talking heavily about things like its sports modes, and it feels like as though that's the direction that Samsung is primarily heading when it comes to the gears, because a lot of the gear features seem to be reliant on fitness and appealing to people who want fitness features. And just as a side note, as somebody who's been working on losing weight for the past year and a half, I do appreciate this. So thank you, Samsung, for some of that. And I do appreciate, like, for some reason, I love the sleep features, so that's like really awesome. One thing that I've been realizing when it comes to people comparing the Watch 7 and the Watch Ultra is that they've noticed that the Watch 7 doesn't have much more new features than the Watch Ultra. It's like fairly on the same page more so. It's just that the Watch Ultra has more features. I don't know if people noticed this, but you remember that one generation, I think it was the Watch 5, where they completely like just disregarded that the circular bezel, the one that you could twist the bezel on, was a thing, and they just released that regular watch. And I'm gonna tell you, I was up in arms over that. I was like, no, don't do this. It feels like as though that's what they're doing again. It's like every other generation, like the 4, 6, and then maybe the 8 will have the circular bezel, and then every other generation they're gonna try and do something different. And it feels like as though the generation 7 one is basically like, we're going to release this ultra watch for you to enjoy. And I'm not against that, but at the same time, it's like, if you're picking up the Watch 7 or the Watch Ultra, if you're not a fan of the circular bezel, or if you could live without the circular bezel, I would just say go and get the Watch 7. I'm still somebody who's a bit I want to pick up the highest thing, and I'm gonna pick up the Watch Ultra if I have the chance to. Actually, when you think more about it, especially for the Sportsmaster, it feels like as though the Watch Ultra, with its ruggedness, it could withstand a fair amount of beatings or a fair amount of wear and tear if you are someone who likes to go into heavy workouts or extreme conditions. That might be the best way to say it. But a lot of people are saying upon further inspection, the Watch Ultra might actually be worth it. And it's like, I would love to go and pick up the Watch Ultra and try that for myself. I'm not even gonna lie, I want to be there. I want to be able to try these things for myself. Also, side notes, and I don't know if this will help me in any way, but the sleep apnea feature seems very important. I don't know if I forgot if I said this before, but I suffered with sleep paralysis for a while before I started getting medicated. I want to assume that my medication is what's helping me deal with my sleep paralysis. And I used to suffer from night terrors. I don't know if that's still true. I remember having one night terror when we went to do Tokyo X. My friend Isaac told me about this. And it's like, this being FDA compliant, will it help me in figuring out all that? Like, what if I have sleep apnea too? I would love to get more of those features examined, because I'm like, I already hate all the stuff that goes on mentally, and it's like, gosh man, I just want to make sure that I'm the best I could be, and that's already a tough hill to climb in my case. So the sleep apnea feature, I am very excited to check that out. Now for the coup de grace, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Ring. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually have been looking forward to hearing more about this, because I don't know why, but I'm so interested in these health features and even the sleep features. It's like every night I want to know, how well am I sleeping? How well am I sleeping? Maybe it's because of those night terrors I used to suffer from and the sleep paralysis, and I'm like, I want more insight. But the Galaxy Ring is something that I'm excited to see. Oh yeah, and it's not just that. I'm actually hoping that in some points in the future, it's like the Ring and the watch just detect the workouts that I'm doing in the heat of the moment. Because it's like, I would love to set it. Maybe I should start setting it on my health device. But one thing that I will make note of is the fact that now it's going to be a little more clearer how these health features kind of work, how healthy I am. I know I'm probably giving it like way too much praise, but that's just who I am. I'm actually really interested and really invested in this. One thing that I find funny, and I'm like, will anybody ever do this? It's like, you're going to propose, and it's like, you pick a Samsung ring as your proposal, and it's like, will you marry me? And it's like, the Samsung ring is right there. I find that very funny, but I do like the case overall. I do think it's a nice case. It's an awesome charging case. My question is, will it be able to work independently of the ring instead of getting the case? I don't think the answer, I think that the answer is no. You will need the case to work with the ring. But I do like what Samsung is doing with the ring in terms of its health features. It feels like as though when you're using both the ring and the watch, then you're kind of getting it in more detail about everything. And the awesome part about it also is that they do look like as though they want to make the ring to work with your device as well. So it's like you do have options to do this and that when you use everything together. And let me just say, this is what I love about the Samsung ecosystem, and I bet people would say this about Apple and other ecosystems alike. And I feel this mostly with the Samsung ecosystem because everything I own is Samsung. It's basically that everything works so well together. Think about it like this. If I wanted to use my phone on any screen, I just go up, I tap it, and it works. And I have done that before. And then with the earbuds, it's like, if I want to switch between my watch and my phone and my tablet and even my TV, it's like I'm free to do that. And same thing with, I think, the tablet. It's like you could cast your tablet onto the TV seamlessly. There's a lot of stuff to like about the Samsung ecosystem. Here's what I will say though. The overall presentation did feel kind of bland, but as I'm talking about it, it's like, I want to get more information about this stuff. Maybe it's because I watch it every time and I'm viewing in increments. And it's like there was also nothing about the phone like the S25 or the S25 Ultra, because I'm not interested in the flip or the fold, so maybe I'm not interested in this stuff. But in terms of the watch, in terms of the buds, in terms of the ring, I was actually fairly surprised. And maybe they're being taken a bit too much, maybe they're being criticized a bit too much about all this stuff, like, oh, you're copying Apple. um that's debatable to me at this point. It's like I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about Samsung's space, and it's like, yeah, maybe they are. I have noticed the orange comparison as well with the watch, and my whole thing is that I'm just gonna move past that. And it's like, if I enjoy Samsung, or if you enjoy Samsung, then who cares if they copied Apple? You know, like, we're still Samsung, we're still Team Samsung all the way. Woo! But honestly, I enjoyed it. I do want to go and look up more reviews. I wonder if Unbox Therapy still does that stuff as well. I do want to go and invest and get the buds. I'm excited to see about the buds. I'm excited to see this, that, and the other. And I can't wait to see what else that Samsung does, you know? I can't wait to see its reveal, and I can't wait to see the S25 and the S25 Ultra. Right now I'm rocking the S22, but that was purely accidental. I kind of damaged my phone a few months, almost a year ago actually. I damaged my phone about a year ago, and what had happened was that, well, whatever happened happened. But yeah, I'm rooting for Samsung. But that's all I could really say. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Jaggercast. I think we're gonna wrap up here because, you know, half an hour. I'm actually surprised that I got all the content to go down into half an hour. I could have sworn that I would have actually been less time. Wow, that's impressive. Um yeah, so join us next time when we have another episode of the Jaggercast, the podcast where I talk about whatever I want whenever I want. I will see you all in the next one. Peace. Also, side note before I wrap up, I was using a new setup today, so whatever happens, happens. I'm experimenting with stuff to get Jaggercast to where I want it to be. So, guys, peace.